Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
G'day, hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie Metal Guy here with Crank.com and with Cranium Radio. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it's a great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Marko from The Crown, who are due to release their 12th, yes, I said it, 12th studio album from the Bloody Legends. Crown of Thorns does drop October 11th through Metal Blade Records. Marko, thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
Hey, man, nice to meet you, man.
No, likewise. So Crown of Thorns, as I mentioned, kind of marks your 12th studio album. First off, can you tell me a little bit about the use of the name Crown of Thorns and the significance of that and this album for you guys as well?
Yeah, it goes back to when we started. That was our original band name, and we even released 2 albums under the name Crown of Thorns before we had to change it or shorten it to The Crown with the Hell Is Here release. And actually, it's quite funny because still today, a lot of people, especially from the US, they think that The Hell Is Here was our debut album, and they don't really know about the past thing. But and we, ever since we changed the name, we always said we should have a song called Crown of Thorns or something like that, to link it to the past, and it just never happened. But now with this new album, and especially when we sort of figure out the artwork thing, because the artwork is linked to our hometown in Sweden. The bridge is from a bridge in our hometown, so it started to make sense that we are about to do a self-titled album, and let's do it as Crown of Thorns, so let's name the album Crown of Thorns. So it made sense, after 20 years of thinking of doing it, so now it finally happened.
So tell me a little bit more about the significance of the artwork, because I was reading through some of the emails. The artwork kind of impacted a little bit of the songwriting process as well with this album, yeah?
Yeah, it was one of those intentional things, how we wanted to sort of do something new, something fresh. If you look at the 2 previous albums, Corpus Speed Venom and Royal Destroyer, they're quite similar, both artwork, musically, everything is similar. And we even had early thoughts that let's make a 3rd one, like a trilogy thing. But then we sort of decided that we need to do something fresh, something new and something else. So we went for the opposite way, simple colors and all of that, and some other changes, pure music, like tuning up guitars instead of being, super muddy low and all of that stuff. So, but the artwork, when that was done and everything, because it was actually done 2 years ago already, that was the starting point to everything, because we had a change in the band. Magnus left the band. He used to be my sort of a co-writer. We wrote always about 50-50 to every album. So I sort of panicked a bit that I need to become the main songwriter, what to do. So my idea was that let's start backwards. Let's do the cover artwork and try to get inspiration from that. And it was quite interesting because that usually comes in so late always in the process. But we started with the artwork, and I basically sort of thought to myself, like, what type of music does an artwork like this need? And how do you end an album that looks like this? There are a lot of those ideas. So that was definitely sort of the starting point to the creative process then. So that was quite fun to work a bit backwards.
Yeah, it's kind of an ode to kind of our generation. We're aging yourself a bit, but how important it was when you'd get those albums and that artwork would kind of tell a story in your head of what that album would sound like. Is that kind of what you were going for as well?
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, I'm from that age, when actually shit like that mattered, cover artwork, and you need to make sense with music. And so, so this was cool. It was a cool way to work with it, So, when you hear the sort of ending of the final song, and you sort of hopefully look at the cover or even a freaking Spotify icon of it, but you see the cover artwork and it sort of makes sense, Oh yeah, this cover artwork needs to be closed with an epic song, and silly stuff like that, like a fanboy, So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad as a metal community we still like to go and buy the merch. You did mention the departure of a few members, but you also had
Yeah.
Marcus kind of come back as well to the band. What was it like kind of having Marcus kind of rejoin you guys? I think 2012 roughly when he departed the band, so
Yeah.
about 12 years ago
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's over a decade ago, and he moved to the East Coast, and we sort of lost track, and we barely had, contact during the years. And when we knew we had needed a new guitar player, it was like my first thought was like, I can't even call him after all these years. It feels embarrassing, So, but time went by, and all of a sudden you realize, shit, we have a studio booked, and we need to do this. I'm not a solo lead guitar player, and someone needs to do it. And yeah, someone pushed someone, and I called up Marcus, because the first idea was like, Marcus, do you want to do the solos on the album? And he was like, yeah, man, that would be great. I was like, oh, good start. And then then he came to my humble man cave studio thing, and we did the solos, and it was a really, really enjoyable moment, and we enjoyed it, and it turned out great. And I think a week after that, I just called him, do you want to join the band? He was like, yeah, man. So it became like an easy thing. But I mean, I dared to call him. I was like, oh, I can't call him after all these years. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll pick up the phone and say, fuck you, or whatever. I had no,
It's like, I
But
remember my guitar pick? I left it in your guitar case like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Can you come around?
I need it now.
I need it now, dude. And we're mentioning members. You got Michael and Matthias have kind of joined the band as well. How did they kind of impact the sound and the dynamics of the band and on this album?
I mean, every change changes something, and that's just how simple it is. And the input from the sort of new guys it's great. It's especially want to highlight the input from Michael, the drummer, because we go way back. We're like childhood friends basically, and but he's always been such a super fan of the Crown, and he's a bit younger than we are. And I mean, his absolute drum hero is Janne Sarenberg, our original drummer. So he's in the zone. He understands everything. So when he came into the band, he had this fanboy view of things, like this is how I would like it to be. And he sort of challenged us and asked a question very early on in the rehearsal, like, why do you tune down? It's like, you never tuned down before. What happened? And I started to think about it, and was like, why the hell do we tune down? I mean, we're still trashy and punky. We shouldn't maybe tune down. And so, yeah, thanks to that, I started to, demo new songs, and I tuned up the guitar to D, from C to D. And I just felt that, oh, wow, this is a different energy and all of that. So thanks to him, we tuned up the guitars and tried to create something fresh and different, compared to past 4 or 5 albums. And yeah, we started from there, and such a creative drummer. I mean, when you ask him to do weird, funky, funny stuff, he's all about it. But he's also a good drummer that knows when to, stop showing off, just play, straight. And then so it's very cool input. And the input from Matthias is obviously he wrote the opening song of the album. So I Hunt with the Devil. So that's cool. And his background, he comes from a bit more from the punky crust scene, and we're no strangers to using those elements in our music as well. So very, yeah, all good now.
Yeah, well, you just touched on how you did tune from D to C for this album. Kind of, you did touch a little bit on it, but can you tell me a little bit more how that kind of affected the overall sound and kind of dynamics of this album?
It does affect, and the funny thing is that some people, when they hear the new stuff, it's like there's something different. I can't pinpoint what it is, but it just adds a bit more lighter sound, or what the word is. But I mean, and obviously it sort of clears up the audioscape there a bit. I mean, the guitar doesn't struggle with the kick drums and bass instrument that much when you're a bit higher tuned. And yeah, it just has a really different energy, because the thing is that what's quite funny, I'm not sure if you play guitar, but if you pick up a guitar and it's tuned to a different whatever tuning, you automatically create something different based on the tuning, based on what you basically hear. So it's like there's like this joke like, oh, I can come up with a riff. Well, tune down, you'll do something heavy, and then it's good enough, but it doesn't sound good if you tune it up. So you need something more, and that was a bit thankful in that sense, because my songwriting is quite melodic, and so I mean, you can hear it on the album. It's probably one of the more melodic albums we've done, and yeah, it suits the new tuning.
Yeah, it definitely catches fuck. We're talking about the kind of post-punk elements are kind of in this, and the latest single, Gone to Hell, it does feature that kind of more mid-tempo with a little bit of those punk elements as well. Tell me a little bit about that track and kind of what influenced that track.
Yeah, that track is quite special in many ways, because it's the first and only song that actually I wrote together with Magnus, the bass player that left. So it was a kind of cool thing also, to sort of a way to, say goodbye, let's close it with a, mutual song in that sense. And he was definitely in the end going more for the sort of post-punk rock thing. And I remember we was at my place, and we started showing some new songs, and that was the first song I was like, wow, we need that. And he told me like, okay, here are the basic, the rhythms, and go nuts with it. And I went nuts with it, added melodies and wrote the drums and arranged it. It turned out really cool. It has a different vibe. It's not too far from Crown, not that it matters, but it's in that element, and quite catchy. So it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, we do feel like that you are at the point with the Crown, 30 years, can you believe it, that you can kind of experiment a little bit and come back to some of those influences, as you mentioned, like some of these punky influences, and kind of do something slightly different, not off the Crown fucking, plan of attack, but something a little bit different as well. Yeah,
and I feel comfortable doing it, because on every album ever since day one, we've always had a couple of different songs, but it's still quite funny that people are surprised when we do something different, and you get attacked by the death metal police right away. Oh, this is not correct thing to do. It's quite funny still today. I mean, after 30 years, I know the feedback Gone to Hell got. People were like, well, this doesn't sound like Total Satan or something. I'm like, oh no shit. But it's quite funny to stir shit up as well. So
yeah, it's the state of the scene though, isn't it? Like, because we all have access to music straight away through this platform, the streaming digital platform, which I feel really the platform needs to change, and artists need to be supported more. But people kind of digest all this music for free. You know what I mean? Yet then they feel the need to fucking complain about it on their keyboard. Glenn Benton from Deicide said was like, I was chatting to him about it, and he said it's like people going into a restaurant, getting a fine steak, sitting down, eating it, not paying a fucking thing, then getting up and going, that steak was shit. Just fucking eat your steak and shut the fuck up, eh? I really do like that people get along and buy the albums and support you on the back end. So it's a bit of a weird fucking state of the music scene at the moment. You probably notice it being around for 30 years, yeah?
Yeah, it is. Everybody has an opinion, and there's the other aspect as well. I mean, it's not. That's the funny thing, because it's not always even their opinion, but they want to say something radical that they get their fucking likes and stuff like that. It's quite funny, So, yeah,
each to their own. That's the state of the scene, isn't it? So, tell us a little bit about the opening single, Churchburner, because that one's got a fucking a killer, unique tempo and groove to it, and starts out with a bloody bang. Tell us about that track.
Yeah, it's like why it was picked on the album is because I really tried to pay attention that every song was based on something unique, and that song was based on more of a triplet thing with the tempo and beat and stuff like that. And I really wanted to do something like that. We actually never done it in that. It has that Slayer post-mortem tempo thing going on there in the beginning, and then it explodes into the kick drums and melodies and stuff. But it's a cool groove, and I like the chorus is pretty cool as well. And yeah, for us it felt like, okay, this might be a cool introduction to the people that are aware of us. They know, okay, this is something different, but let them be a bit familiar with it until we unleash Gone to Hell on them. Yeah, it's a cool song. I especially enjoy the ending part. I think it turned out really cool when we take it down and continue with the melody. And yeah, cool song. And we played it live now a couple of times actually, and ever since the video came out, and it works out great.
How'd it go live? How'd the fans kind of react to live?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was I think the first time we played it was like a couple of days after it premiered, and yeah, people were into it, man. I mean, it's a good groove in it.
Yeah, how do you feel the fans are like taking the new stuff? You did kind of mention a couple there. How do you feel the one that they're receiving the album, and then kind of how do you feel like Crown of Thorns kind of sits and pushes the boundary a little bit more compared to your Cobra Speed Venom and your Royal Destroyer album, both equally great albums that are in my collection as well.
Yeah. Well, the feedback so far is actually pretty excellent. It's amazing, and obviously the hardcore fans haven't heard the whole album yet. The feedback I'm getting is from reviews and people like you when I do interviews. I mean, stuff like that. It's great, and I hear that from the label, the business side. But yeah, looking good, guys. So it's yeah, it's good, because I think that the most standard feedback I get is that it sounds fresh. It sounds something like you do. You're actually not regurgitating the successes of Cobra Speed Venom or Royal Destroyer. You're trying something else, and I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that must be good as an artist to still be able to push yourself with the Crown and kind of create some new stuff and kind of explore these new sonic boundaries as well.
Yeah, it is a good feeling, because that's sort of what drives me a lot, because I would kill myself if I would be one of those that peaked with our albums in the, let's say, in the 90s, 20 years ago. So, I mean, that would be embarrassing, but it's actually cool. I mean, even from Cobra Speed Venom and forward, people are praising the albums. They go, oh fuck, this is one of the better ones. I mean, that's the good stuff to hear.
All the albums from the Crown are the better ones, dude. That's for sure. Did you face any challenges during the recording and production process for this one?
Not in the actual recording. It's usually as it is that we're well prepared, and we know what to execute in the studio. So and I handle the recordings of this album as well. So I know my way around the studio quite a lot. So it was smooth. And then we contacted a guy called Jonas in Sweden, Jonas Källgren. We wanted him to do the mixing. I could have done it myself, but I didn't want to. And I really wanted someone else to have the sort of big picture of it, because I can mix other bands, which I do, and not a problem. But when it comes to my own stuff, I mean, I still would have been mixing it or something like that. I'm never happy, So I'm a bit too close to it, so that's why we contacted Jonas for it. And great job, man! He did an absolute brilliant job.
It's funny, as a creative, it doesn't matter who you are, you still kind of hate the sound of your own shit at times.
That's how it is. I mean, you go into this, you think you're a piece of shit, and you think everything you do is crap, and why do people bother buying your albums? You can't even write a song, man. I mean, you go through these phases, and it's quite funny.
We all do as creatives, but this album, Crown of Thorns, is an absolute fucking ripper, Marko. It's definitely, like, as I said, all the Crown albums are absolutely unreal. And it's really great to see you guys still continually pushing those sonic boundaries and ripping out these amazing fucking albums after 30 years.
Cool,
fuck, man, it's really, really good to see. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, mate?
Oh, let's see. Well, we are a bit early with the sort of the live planning and tour planning, but we are in the middle of it, and our goal is always to go to new territories, and actually Australia has come up. It's kind of cool, so it might happen actually in 2025. So it's huge, man.
Awesome. Everybody go out, grab Crown of Thorns. It does drop October 11th through Metal Blade Records. It is the 12th studio album, and it is an absolute fucking ripper. You're going to want to chuck it in the stereos and crank it up really bloody loud because the neighbors are going to want to hear it too. Cheers, mate. Have an awesome evening.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.